Hey, this is Armin Kamal of Infrared, and you're listening to Dave Softee's Metal Meltdown on Metal Messiah Radio.
Metal Maniacs, here we go. Please help me welcome to Metal Messiah Radio, hailing from Ottawa, Canada, from Metal Thrashers Infrared. Joining us, we have on vocals and guitars, Armin Kamal.
Hey Dave, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I thank you very much. Welcome to the Metal Meltdown. Thank you for taking the time to be here, and thank you for this opportunity. I have checked out your band's brand new debut offering, No Peace. And it's a very nice thrash offering. Makes me want to learn a lot more about your band. So let's do that. I see that the band originally formed in 1985 and was around for about 5 years, then took a break and reformed in 2014, which makes for a very interesting situation. So if you could tell us what led to the break and then the ultimate reformation of Infrared.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, that's pretty accurate. The 1985 time frame. Kirk and I, we were heavily into music. He actually introduced me to the metal scene, and we tried all kinds of sort of variations of getting a band together. I initially started on drums, which I really sucked at.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. It was not a good situation. I could do a drum roll like nobody's business, but keeping a beat was not really my thing at the time. And then he got a flying V, and I saw that, and I was just like, damn, I got to have one of those. And then, so he taught me, my first riffs. And I had another buddy, Colin McKenzie. He was an awesome guitar player, and he showed me his wares. So from there, though, Kirk and I said, we got to do a metal band. We got to put something together here. And that's where we roped in Alain Guru on the drums. Met him out partying one night and thought, this is a really cool cat. And he plays drums, so like, this is perfect. We get along, and, and he's a drummer. So let's do this. And then we found Sean Thompson for bass. And that was the nucleus. That was the foundation of Infrared. And, we wrote, I would say, the majority of the songs in the time period of that lineup. All the songs that you're hearing on the album, save the very last one, were all written sort of with that lineup. And it went really strong for a good few years. Then life got in the way where, Kirk was starting to look at career decisions. We were all getting closer to our 20s at that point. He'd left the band, and then we brought in Ian Myers, who was an awesome guitar player. And we actually ended up shooting a video while he was in the band for Thoughts Caught. And I think that was done in 1988. And that went sort of nationwide. We got that on our national video station, Much Music, on the Power Hour. And, we didn't think, too much would happen from that, but all of a sudden started getting mail from across the country, which is really cool. I was actually just going through some of it the other day just for nostalgia, and I didn't realize that we'd gotten that much mail. And then Ian had a career path that he needed to take, and he went off to do audio production out of town at a college. And so then, we tried a couple other musicians, but that really was very, very short-lived. And they were, great musicians as well, but it was just short-lived. It's just I guess the core of the band fell apart. It wasn't there anymore.
Did the grunge era, did that have anything to do with this? Because I know in that time frame, thrash was maybe not as popular, if you want to say popular, and there was more, I guess, MTV with grunge influence. It seemed that a lot of the thrash bands that were around this time kind of took a break and then made a resurgence later on, like 10 years later.
Yeah, well, I think the big part of grunge hit a little after we dissipated. So I don't really think it had an effect on us. I remember more the Guns N' Roses kind of breakthrough and their rise to popularity around that time. But it really, for us, it was really just this just isn't, kind of doing it for us. It isn't working. So then the getting back together part. So, Kirk went off. He went out of province. He went to British Columbia. He was gone for many, many years. Then came back, made his way back to Ottawa. And I want to say, well, it was around the 2014 timeframe. We were friends with a band called Shock. I'm not sure if you heard of them. They're from Ottawa as well. So they were sort of mentors to us back in the day. And they had reunited here in Ottawa and wanted to do a reunion show with us. They said, wouldn't it be great if you guys opened for us again? We just put out a CD. It'd be awesome if you guys get together. They tried that one year, but I was in another band, and I kind of said, no, I'm not going to do it. And then a year later, he asked again, maybe a little more forcefully, come on, man, you can do this. And so I talked to Kirk, and he was like, he was all in. Like, I mean, that guy's metal through and through. So he was all in. I talked to Al, and he said, for sure. But our bass player at this point, original bass player, Sean, had moved down to Miami. I mean, he'd been all over the map, and he sort of settled in Miami. So there wasn't any way that was really going to work. So we ended up getting Mike Forbes, which is a good friend of Al's. We've kind of all known each other throughout the years, but a great bass player, great guy, easy to work with. So we've got a new foundation and just hammered out these songs. We played live. It felt great. And then decided, it was Kirk and I went down to Mexico. We're sitting on the beach having our pops, and said we got to record these songs. We can't just, even if it's just for us, we have to record them. And after that process, started to take shape, we were like, damn, this is pretty good. We should push this. And so here we are talking to you.
Very nice. So it must feel real good to get this music out there. Your full offering, piece, and being able to do this. And so basically it's the original lineup, except for your bass player, Mike Forbes. Is that what I understand? Basically, it's the original lineup since the beginning?
You got it.
Wow, that's amazing that you guys stuck together and brought this music back. Congratulations on that.
Well, thanks.
Oh, don't thank me. You're the one doing it. It's great.
I was just going to say it's really odd because I always thought it was a really normal thing. Like these are high school buddies, right? That your high school buddies are your lifelong buddies, and then I talk to more and more people. I go, no, I don't talk to anybody from high school anymore. So I'm starting to find out that maybe this isn't the norm. But yeah, we've never lost touch, and I have tons of other high school friends. Like we had this core, and we're still friends to this day, and it's one of those things that it doesn't die. So I don't know if it's an anomaly. I don't know if you've had the same experience.
Not really, no.
See, there you go.
I've pretty much lost touch with everybody from the 80s or the 90s, really. But that's life. Life does that to you sometimes. But yeah, I'm enjoying the sound of your music. How would you describe your sound? I call it, you call it thrash, but I call it more than thrash. But I'm interested to know how you would describe your own sound.
Yeah, I mean it's aggressive, that's for sure. But, the all the labels. I mean, you kind of learn to live with labels because that's what people know, and it helps guide people into, well, do I want to check this style of music out or not? So yeah, I would classify it in the thrash, sort of classic thrash genre, a la, the Big Four, Testaments, and then we've had comparisons to all kinds of bands that I've never even heard of. And then you go and listen to them, and you go, oh yeah, I can see the the guitar riff or the structure or whatever it is.
Speaking of the riffs, the first thing I thought of when I'm hearing your music is on certain solos and guitar riffs, I'm hearing a bit of Maiden.
Well, that's what I'm saying is people are picking out all kinds of stuff. To say that we're not influenced by a band like Maiden, it's that would be utter bullshit, right? I don't know too many metal bands that aren't.
Who are exactly, well said.
Yeah, there's Judas Priest. Well, people will listen to us and they'll instantly, draw the comparisons to the Big Four. But when we were coming up, it was Black Sabbath, it was Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Scorpions. I mean, for me, Scorpions is the early Scorpions, of course.
Oh, I love that stuff. Yeah, from the 70s.
Yeah, the John Lee Roth stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
I go crazy for it. He's one of my favorite guitar players, and I've been so fortunate to get to see him at a local club, not once but twice, and he's coming back in the spring, which I'll guaranteed be there at, because I'm just in awe of his playing style, his riffs, just all of it. He's just got a very cool and different sort of attitude towards music that I love. So, but from a perspective of our influences and sounds and stuff like that, yeah, it's all the earlier metal bands, and then of course there's the thrash stuff, because we were really drawn to that genre of music. We love the progression of where the Maidens and the Judas Priest sort of left off or peaked, where the next genre of music took off, and we were just like all in. It's just like listen to that speed picking, those triplets, the double bass, the aggression.
Yeah, there's nothing about the aggression. It's all there.
Yeah, but yet it still had melody, and it was melodic in places, but it was angry and shouting, and you know what I mean. So
yeah,
so it had more elements to it that we were drawn to, and obviously influenced us.
Very well said. Now, the thing I would like to know is, how did your tunes all come together? Who was responsible for writing the words and the music? Did you all work on this together, or do you have one person that concentrates on the lyrics and the music? If you could tell us about how this all comes together, all your music.
It's pretty simple. So from a riff perspective, you'll have Kirk and myself. So, we go off and we'll just pick up the guitar and just riffs start coming out. And you bring it to the band, you start jamming it out. Yeah, we like that. No, we don't like that. Oh, that goes together really well. Holy crap, that sounds really cool. There's a real excitement when we're putting stuff together. Back then and today, we have that part of it. And Kirk, he'll write riffs, and he'll have in his mind already a topic, a vision of what this song is about, and he'll give that to me, and maybe throw a few keywords at me, and then I'll run with it and write it. I do write the majority of the lyrics. We both contribute. I want to say almost equally as far as riffs are concerned, but I think Kirk's just a little more of a riff machine than I am. I tend to focus more on writing less riffs, but making it really, really solid and building songs off it. And he's just like riff, 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 riff. Like it's just he's churning it out all the time. And then it's like he's got this mountainous task of having to sift through it all and put stuff together. And I guess that's maybe where I'm a little lazier. I just kind of like, I like this riff and I'll build something around that. And he gets a ton and puts them together. And then as far as, Mike and Al are concerned, or back in the day, Sean, yes, there's tons and tons of input on song arrangement, maybe tweak the riff this way, maybe the beat should be like that. It's definitely a very cohesive process. We wouldn't sound the way we did without all the musicianship. It would just be two guys writing riffs and using a drum loop or whatever. And it just doesn't have the same energy or the same feel.
I understand that now. How did Infrared originally get the name? Who selected the band's name from the very beginning?
That's interesting. So Kirk's got a really good memory for those kinds of details, and mine's terrible. I know where it came from. I think that we were listening to "Killing Is My Business" from Megadeth, and we were just trying to come up with a name, and that word popped out. And then Kirk's like, "What about this one?" But I do remember going through those lyrics, both of us going, "Yeah, that's it. That's our name. Let's use that." It had a cool connotation. Seeing heat signature, seeing in the dark, that kind of stuff.
It works. And who designed the band logo? Is that the original logo, or is that a new logo for this new release?
That's a new logo. The original logo I actually drew out on a piece of paper, and then had somebody that was a little bit better at it than me, put it together after the fact. That was kind of like a very 3D kind of, and it actually broke up the word into two words, which didn't really want, but it kind of looked cool at the time. And then the second version, I had sketched something out. It was very close to what it is now. And my neighbor, J.F. Rouleau, great graphic artist, he took it and ran with it and gave a bunch of samples and said, "What do you think?" And then we worked on it together, and that's the output. And people look at it and go, "Wow, that looks, really 80s." And I'm like, yeah, it's supposed to, because that's the genre of music, and we are who we are. We're not trying to be something other than that. We're not trying to have the newer style logos, which are barely legible.
They did a good job. And where was No Peace recorded, and who produced this?
No Peace was recorded in my basement. Well, I was in the band for many years before that, so I only put music on hold for about 5 years. I've got 3 kids and a daughter, and then twin boys. And when the twin boys came along, I was just like, there's just no way I'm going to have the time to do anything. So
wow, you have a full plate out there. Wow.
yeah, we're all busy, but having fun, enjoying life. But through the process of being that other band, I learned some producing chops that carried over into Infrared. So by the time Infrared reformed or regrouped, I was like, well, I've got experience. Let's not pay somebody to do this. I'll do it. And so we recorded in our basement. I produced it. But then you get to a certain point where you're like, okay, it's sounding really good. We're happy with it, but I don't think I can mix this, because I gave it a shot, and I'm not really set up. I don't have the $10,000 speakers that capture all the frequencies and make sure that you're within certain parameters, and you're getting rid of the squeaky notes and that kind of stuff, the brittle stuff that makes it really hard to crank it up and listen and enjoy the music without blowing out your ears. So we got Jason Jack Nunes from Metropolitan Studios here in Ottawa as well, who's just a fantastic guy to work with. Definitely going to go back to him. And I think he's got a few Juno nominated, that's our version of the American Music Awards, or the Grammys up here, that he's worked on. Handed it off to him, worked with him. We went through and did the final polishing on the mixes, and he did a fantastic job. And then, of course, off to Toronto to the Lacquer channel. Noah Mintz, who did the mastering on this. Also, just this guy just knows what he's doing. So you hand it to him, and you go, "Here's a great sounding thing. Please don't screw this up." And it comes back sounding even better. So you're like, awesome. And that's what we did. So we just had those two people were our outside influence and help on the final sound of the music, but the rest of it's all us.
It must be very exciting for you after all these years to get this music out there, to have it sound the way that it does.
Yeah, well, when you can put that in the CD carousel, I know now I'm starting to date myself, or you throw it into the MP3 collection, and you're listening to your favorites, and then your song comes on, and you're like, I can't tell the difference as far as quality goes. It's very satisfying. And then to have people come and say, like, great album, we like it, or getting good reviews and stuff like that. People always say humbling, but I just say it's a proud moment for us. We didn't expect it to sound and be as good as it is. We're certainly happy that people are appreciating it and liking it.
Excellent. And let me give a few links out there to the listeners for Infrared. On Facebook.com, it's Infrared Metal. You have your own home site. That's infraredmetal.ca for Canada. And we have a Bandcamp. That's infraredmetal.bandcamp.com. Where would you say is the best place for a fan of Infrared to get a copy of the CD or the digital files?
Well, I mean, there is the Bandcamp, but we actually launched everything globally through CD Baby. I know a lot of artists are using that, and I think it's a really great service. I don't have stocks in it. I'm not pitching them for that reason. It's just really easy. You ship them, a handful of CDs, maybe 10 CDs or whatever, and they sell them worldwide for you. They've got affiliations with Alliance Records, other record companies and stuff like that that'll go and buy. They'll stock up through them. So it's cool. And then they handle all your digital distribution for you as well. iTunes, live streaming, Spotify, Apple Music, and all that stuff. And it's not that expensive. So it allows us to not have to worry about that. We just point them to our website. You want to buy our stuff, you just go here. Now for other merch, such as shirts and patches and whatever else we dream up in the future, we'll do that through Bandcamp. We're still, it's not flying off the shelves. So we can still manage, doing that ourselves, where, you make a trip to the post office every other week and ship something out.
There you go. Sounds like a good deal. Now, what sort of merch do you currently have available for your fans?
As far as merch is concerned, right now we're down to T-shirts and patches. So we got a cool sort of circular patch. It's got like crosshairs on it on what could possibly be a planet or a globe of sorts that looks like it's sort of blood red. And then with the Infrared logo across it. So
nice.
We've actually sold some of those. People seem to be interested in them, so that's very cool. And then just a straightforward T-shirt with the Infrared logo on it.
And that's Bandcamp where they could find the merch.
Correct, yeah.
Very good. Okay, thank you for letting us know about that. Now, is Infrared a live performing band?
Definitely a live performing band. We love the writing process. We love recording. But then there's nothing quite like getting in front of people and just killing it. And just, being tight and just executing the songs. Knock on wood, we screw up live. I mean, we have some stuff up on YouTube. We just finished playing a show, and a friend of ours videotaped it and threw it up on YouTube for us. And we went back and listened to it and go, yeah, we don't suck. It's a nice feeling to not be embarrassed of your live videos being posted.
Exactly.
Even with the warts. We're definitely about that. Well, we only did a handful of shows this year. I'd say maybe, I want to say between 3 and 4. And one of the standout ones is when we opened up for Anvil at a club, local club here as well.
That must have been a lot of fun for you. Anvil's crazy.
The funny thing is especially Kirk and myself, every time they come to town over the past, I want to say 10 years, we'd be there. We'd go out to the shows, have a few wobbly pops, enjoy the hell out of it because they're so entertaining to watch live.
They are, yeah.
And then here we are, X amount of years, sharing the stage with them. And the crowd was phenomenal. It's probably one of the best crowds we had, well, this year anyways. So it was a really, really great night.
Where was that show again?
The Brass Monkey.
We had a place around here on Long Island called the Brass Monkey, but it wasn't it was more of a strip club than it was a music venue. I think they closed them down, yeah.
Yeah, no, this club just went under new management. Oddly enough, I'm friends with a few of the guys. Again, not because they're friends. If I didn't know them, I'd say the same thing about the club. The before and after, they took over and just redid this club. And it's a pool hall. They got good food there, and the stage and the sound has just been exponentially improved. So they've got all kinds of massive acts going through now that, like I said, John Lee Roth is going there. They've got Jeff Tate going through, the Killer Dwarves, Anvil. It's not a fly-by-night kind of club. They're really building something there, which is very cool, and it's great to be a part of that.
That's good news. And what about future shows? You have anything coming up that you'd like to tell us about that we could spread the word on?
Future shows, no. We don't have anything planned right now. It doesn't mean we would turn something down, but right now we're kind of in writing mode and have a goal. Like our goal for 2017 is to get another album out, and this time around we want that to be all new music, and just to show people, okay, well, yeah, No Peace was written at a certain time frame, right, at a place and time in history, and we just recorded those songs. Now that doesn't mean we didn't tweak them and improve and certain sections, and some songs were lengthened. But by and large, they really stayed true to the nature of how they were written. And so the $1 million question is, do we still got it? Can we still write stuff? And so not to prove it to the world, but to prove it to ourselves. Can we write good stuff, and can we still bring that aggression and stuff like that? And I think so far we're doing a pretty good job, and we're excited to get that out.
That's great news to know that there'll be more infrared music out there. So when that day comes that you have another album out there, we could come back on the Metal Meltdown to talk about that when that does come into fruition.
Would love to do that.
Absolutely. You mentioned YouTube just a few minutes ago, so I want to bring up the fact that I noticed you have a YouTube channel. I just typed in infrared and came your channel. It doesn't say infrared. It's a bunch of like what I call a VIN number, a bunch of numbers and letters and stuff like this. But on the YouTube channel for infrared, I noticed a couple of official videos that I'd like to talk about. They look killer. They came out really nice, and I'd like to know more about them. It was some kind of disease official video and the No Peace official video. They look like they were pretty expensive to make these videos. How did they all come together? Who produced and directed these videos?
When we released the album, I put together a video, and of course it's not a full production video, which we'll get to in a second. So that's just sort of like a graphic video where it just uses images and stuff. And that was for TOC, which most people don't know what it stands for, so I'll tell you. It stands for Terrorists on Call. And that got some positive responses, but I had to keep telling people, well, no, but that's not a real video. We're shooting a real video. This is just a teaser, like a taste, so that we could get something out. So we ended up working with James Ramsey of a company called Skytography. So he's a friend of Kirk. This is the cool thing, is that we work with our friends. We bring our business to our friends, and they like working with us. And so it kind of comes through in the final product of the stuff that we put out. That edge is, you want to do well, surround yourself with good people. And so we're sort of living that motto. We had an idea as a band that, we wanted to have, our first video was for No Peace, the title track. We had a vision. We wanted to have sort of 3 storylines going through this video. One would be of actual footage of war. Another would be of, and this is, where we have an actor, and I'll get to that in a second, because there's a very cool theme in this video. Where we'd have an actor sort of, being chased by an invisible force. And then the third sort of line would be of the band playing, right? So you have these 3 things happening throughout the video. And we gave that vision to James, and he knocked it out of the park. Shot great footage. When he wasn't satisfied with it, we went and shot more footage. And let me tell you, it was a cold video shoot. Anybody who knows anything about Ottawa, it's, I think, the 3rd coldest capital in the world in the wintertime. And it's probably the 3rd hottest in the summertime. It's so humid here. Getting back to the video, what was cool about the No Peace video is there's an opening scene where there's a battleship that's being sunk, and the munitions explode at a certain point. You see people running off the deck, and unfortunately a lot of people died in that. But Kirk's grandfather is one of the guys running off the bow or the stern and jumping into the water. So his grandfather is technically in the video, in our first full production video.
Interesting.
Then the second piece is the soldier in the storyline that was our actor is Kirk's son. So we have 3 generations of Gidleys in our first video, which I thought was really, really cool.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Very unique.
You'll never watch it the same way again.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So then we, for Some Kind of Disease, No Peace is a very heavy lyric. It's very heavy topic about, how the cycle of war never ends and all that. And Some Kind of Disease is, still a very aggressive song, but it's a little lighter hearted, It's about, opportunities missed and all these STDs that kind of, including AIDS at the time within the 80s. So think of being an adolescent in the 80s and having that, ripple through society and you going like, damn it, I missed the sexual revolution because now everybody's scared to do anything. Right? So it's a little bit of tongue in cheek and a little more fun. So we wanted to do a video for that just so that we weren't kind of tying ourselves to one style of, death and destruction. And, there's other topics that we touch on. And we had a blast shooting that one. It's got a Chevelle in it and Flying V's, and I don't think you can go wrong with that combination.
Not at all, right? Speaking of Flying V's, you want to talk about your gear? What do you actually play?
Well, so Kirk has. I'll start with him. He's got a Dean that's his mainstay for stage. Plays great. He's got an old Gibson Explorer. Like, I mean, it's old, and whenever he brings that out, and guitar aficionados are around and see it, they just start drooling and salivating. And there's good reason, because that thing is probably the best playing guitar I've ever played. And he's got a few other V's. He's got an Epiphone, Jeff Waters model, just the Goth Epiphone. We're not out to buy the most expensive guitars, just really good playing guitars. I've got a Schecter. That's the one you'll see in Some Kind of Disease video. I bought that without playing it first. I had just read enough about them and people just raving about these guitars that I said, well, I'll just order it, and if it doesn't work out, I'll turn around and sell it. And that thing, it's a machine. I love it. I've also got a Jeff Waters, and for those of you who don't know, Jeff Waters he's from Annihilator.
Yes.
I didn't think I'd have to explain that. But
Exactly.
So I bought one of his guitars. He also lives in Ottawa. He's from Ottawa and then moved out west. So he's back. So I bought the satin black version of his first Epiphone model. Kudos to him. He and Epiphone worked together and put together a really, really nice guitar. So that and the Schecter are my two main guitars. And then I've got a Gibson Flying V and also a Dean that kicks around, but mostly used for practicing at home and stuff like that.
Nice. Now, for the future of Infrared, are you seeking out a record label to sign with, or do you think you're going to be just doing it on your own, being that you did Peace so well? Do you think you're just going to do it similar, the recording and releasing it yourself, or what do you see in the future for Infrared?
The playing field has changed so much in that you have access to the world to sell your stuff. The big problem is standing out. And that's something that takes a lot of time and effort. So we wouldn't be adverse if we were approached by somebody and there was a decent distribution and marketing deal for our music. Certainly something we'd look at where it's mutually beneficial. We're all working guys. We didn't get into this to make any money. We didn't think that would happen. In fact, when we put this stuff together and put it out, we're paying money to put metal music out to the rest of the world. And that's okay with us. Do we get some return on it? Sure. Would I say we're breaking even? I would say barely. I don't think we have yet, but we're just having so much fun doing it. We have this saying too. It's like everybody's got a hobby and everybody spends money on their hobby. And I don't want to say this is a hobby for us. It's more than that. It is a passion.
Right. It
costs money to do things you like. If it turns into something more than that'd be awesome. But if it didn't, we wouldn't be going to our graves disappointed either.
I understand you. And you just mentioned about your job. So I'm interested to know what you do when you're not doing the band. What do you actually do to make a living?
Now we're going to get into the boring stuff. I'll put it this way. I work in high tech, have for many years, which might explain why, I gravitated towards doing the music production stuff like this, because, know my way around software. So, we've got an auto mechanic / city worker in the band. 2 city workers actually, and then another guy who also is in software. So that'd be Mike. So it's a diverse group. We all make decent money, I guess, as far as making a living is concerned, and it allows us, thankfully, to put this music together.
That is a great thing.
And still raise a family on top of it. So.
And all of you have families, or just you? Well, Kirk does too. Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah. So we've all got kids. I'm not going to say we're all married. I am. Kirk is. But definitely all have families and have been through that phase and cycle in life and that great experience. I do have to say that it is a great experience.
Excellent. Would you like to say anything to the Infrared fans that are tuning in at this time?
The fact that they're fans is that I'd like to say thank you. I can't put it into any better words than that. It's anybody who's taken any time to watch a video, listen to a song, give us a positive comment, even constructive feedback. Anybody that takes the time to interact with us or our music it's a big thank you. And that part, or people will say, I'm so humble. Well, that part is humbling when people show love or just even show attention one way or the other towards what we're doing. It's appreciated.
Do you have fans that have been there from the beginning that remember you from the mid-'80s that are very thankful to you for being out there doing this music now?
Yeah, that's the really cool part is we'll see people come out to shows and they've literally said, I feel like I'm 17 again. Like, this is awesome. And then to boot, they say, like, you guys sound great. So seeing that, so we know what that feels like because we feel it when we're playing. And to have them come out to the shows, so our close friends, I mean, they're obviously there. They've been there since the beginning. They're always coming out to the shows or supporting us, coming out to the parties when we release a video or a CD or whatever. But then to see faces that I haven't seen in like 30 years just coming out and rocking out and enjoying it, I mean, it doesn't get cooler than that.
Very nice. Well, Armin, I want to thank you so much for spending time with us tonight on the Metal Meltdown on Metal Messiah Radio. I do think we learned a lot about infrared. I'm really happy that you were able to join us tonight, that we can learn the history of the band and know that there will be a future for infrared. This is very good news.
Yeah, knock on wood, that's what we're headed for. So I appreciate it, Dave, for taking the time. I hope I didn't talk your ear off.
Not at all. It's all about the information, brother. Yeah, you did a great job. You really did very good informing us about everything we needed to know about your band, you did a great job, bro.
Yeah, well, here's to 2017 and Happy New Year to everyone.
Yes, I want to wish you and all Infrared a great 2017 and all years to come. May you have some success out there, that you could keep doing what you want to do and have fun doing it. And just know, like I said before, with every release you have out there, no matter how long it takes, as long as we're doing this, you'll have a home here to talk about your music. Always.
Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much. And again, have a happy 2017. Happy New Year. And how about we crank up some more Infrared at this time?
Awesome.
Let's do it. Metal Maniacs, crank it up.